Hello, and welcome to another episode of Boundless Body Radio. I'm your host, Casey Ruff, and today we have another amazing guest to introduce to you now. Scott King had literally tried everything to lose weight, including a failed gastric bypass surgery. Scott happened to listen to Vinnie Tortorich on one of his favorite podcasts, which we just found out wasn't ours, even though we've hosted Vinnie twice on episodes 55 and 243 of Boundless Body Radio. That's okay. The episode gave Scott hope to try to lose weight one final time. Vinnie Tortorich promotes an NSNG lifestyle, meaning no sugar, no grain, which Scott decided to try. He also combined that with another tool, DDP Yoga, and it has become the perfect storm that Scott needed to find sustainable success. He has since gone on to start the Less of Me Success Stories channel on YouTube, which he began with another former guest of the podcast, our dear friend, Robyn Dobbins, who we hosted on episode 469 of our show. Their channel is a forum allowing people to share their personal stories of healing using dietary interventions ranging from ketogenic to carnivore, and the intention is to share messages of hope with the community. Along with the new Less of Me Success Stories channel on YouTube, Scott has been sharing his incredible story all over social media for years, including on Instagram and YouTube at Less of Me with NSNG. Scott King, what an absolute honor it is to welcome you to Boundless Body Radio.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
It is so cool to have you on. I actually did not know about your latest project when I reached out to get you on the show. So cool that you're working with Robyn. How did the two of you meet?
So we've kind of known each other from the NSNG community for a while, and then it was about a couple of years ago we went to KetoCon out in Austin, and at that time had the pleasure of meeting her and her husband Matt, and we just kind of clicked and just hit it off. We just get along really well. She's also from Texas, like I'm from Texas, not too far away. And then in one of the times we met up, with some not so subtle encouragement from her husband, we kind of got kicked in the rear end to join forces together and share our stories and try to encourage people with our new channel we got.
That's amazing. I love Matt. He's so great at that.
Yeah, Matt's awesome.
That is awesome. So I met Robyn at Low Carb Denver 2023. So I was outside having lunch. And during that conference, I was inviting people to book 10-minute time spots in my calendar where they could be interviewed for a big composite kind of a podcast that I was doing. And I'm eating lunch outside and I see these three women and they're eating lunch. And they're clearly part of our convention because they're eating guacamole and chicken wings and bacon and passing it around. So I went and just had a conversation with these three strange women, and Robyn was one of them. And it was amazing to hang out with her. Got to hang out with her in person again at KetoCon this year, 2023, where I got to meet Matt as well. And we went out one night. I didn't really have plans, and Robyn was kind enough to invite me out with her and her friends who are all NSNG. Most of them were not even attending the conference. I told her, I'll tell you, like, dude, the most amazing community. They were so kind and so nice. We had the best time. It was one of the best highlights of my year, to be honest. It was amazing. I had a great time.
That's great. Yeah. The whole community has been. I've developed some great friends. It's so weird, like making such good connection and good friendships off of just a way of eating. It's kind of crazy, but it's pretty awesome.
It is really awesome. I think it speaks to what this way of eating does, right? Like if this were another diet, I think people would get fired up about stuff for a month and kind of like, depart and do other things. But when all these people, like you said, are healing, they're getting happier, they're having amazing stories like you. It's more than just, like a diet. It's this thing that like connects us all and makes us all so excited, which for people like you and I, it's content creation, right? Like nobody's paying us to do this. And it's so exciting. We just want to share our stories.
Exactly. We just have like, it's kind of like we've been shown the light when it comes to the proper way of nourishment and wellness for your body. And we just want to all we want to do is just get it out there as much as we can. I think we all kind of have a passion of just spreading that news to others, because I mean, I was so desperate for most of my life to hear that. And it took me forever to finally get to that. And I wish I would have heard it a lot sooner, so that I feel like once we kind of learn this way, it's almost like it's excitement for us to get it out there as much as we can.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing I've learned from going to some of these things, you mentioned you've been to KetoCon as well, is like you hear the Sean Bakers and the Ken Berries and all the superstars in our field, and they're jacked. Anthony Chafee, like they're all big dudes, they're muscular, they're very fit. You think you're going to go to this low carbohydrate conference and everybody's going to be a bikini model basically or something.
Right.
And hanging out with this group in particular, this NSNG group, as we were eating dinner, you see all types of shapes and sizes and all these people that are on the journey. And I think of you in the same way. Like, you're still on your journey. We all are, but look at all the progress that you made. And it's easy. I guess it's easy for all of us to judge when we're all kind of in this together and in different places in our own journeys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Because by no means am I a small guy. So, like you said, everybody's journeys are different. And that's kind of like what I love about Robyn's journey is hers was not just weight loss. It was also a mentality aspect of it. I mean, that's which I never knew about prior to really knowing her. So it's just further proof how so much of our ailments, health and mental wise, can be just treated by proper food. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And it's so amazing that we've got different research coming out about new topics as far as low carbohydrate, cholesterol, lean mass hyperresponders, of which Robyn is one, where when she goes low carbohydrate or carnivore, her symptoms of bipolar drop right out and she's fine and functions great and doesn't even need medication, which is amazing. But her cholesterol goes way up. So that's a really tough way to live your life. You got to kind of decide, like, do I want to feel bipolar symptoms or do I want to think that my cholesterol is going to be too high and I'm going to die of a heart attack? And so luckily we've got good research that's coming out helping us understand that phenomenon a little bit better. But yeah, it's so cool to kind of think about everybody's journeys and the reasons why they found certain things. And so let's talk about yours. We mentioned that you had a gastric bypass surgery. What led up to that? Like, what was your childhood like? Were you always overweight? Like, was this something you struggled with your entire life, or something that came on because of an event?
No, so I've always struggled with weight. There's literally never a time in my life where I've never not known weight to be an issue. Just to kind of give you an idea, when I was, I think, a freshman in high school, I had to lose, I think it was 8 or 12 pounds or something. This is called 10 pounds to be an average to be able to wrestle, because I was so heavy that I was over the limit that they allowed for people to wrestle. And I wanted to say I had to get down to 255, 265 at 14, 15 years old. And then, so I've always been a big guy, but then a few injuries happened throughout high school. And I think my later in my junior year, I pretty much had to stop playing sports because of injuries. And then that lack of activity compounded with not changing my eating habits ever, just kept adding to it and adding to it and adding to it. And by the time I graduated, I was well to the mid 300 pounds. And then just life happens and you start eating like trash. You live on your own. You just go for the cheapest food, and just you're not focused on nourishment. You're focused on things that are fun to you. So I just kept putting on weight, and it got to the point where I was just pretty much immobile, getting very close to being immobile. And I think it was about roughly, ballpark 18 years ago now that I got the gastric bypass because it was like a last resort. I've tried Weight Watchers. I tried Weight Watchers multiple times. Even tried Atkins with some success, but I really was winging it. Never really knew what it was all about. And I just was kept being told that a gastric bypass was like the answer, the be all end all. It's going to be the key to your success, and you'll never have to be concerned with weight again. And so I do know the day of my surgery, they weighed me as I was getting ready for surgery. I was at 552. And like gastric bypass does, it worked. I got down to just under 300 pounds. I floated for the most part, maintained around 3 to 315, which is not small, but compared to where I was pretty small. And then, like everything else, it just started coming back and coming back and coming back. And I kind of fast forward to, now being a family guy, married and everything like that, and realizing, man, I am pretty much where I was before, trying to have the gastric bypass surgery again and getting denied for another surgery, which is funny because I thought that was the answer, the key to it all, but it clearly wasn't, since I was seeking it for the second time. So, I mean, that's kind of a ridiculous thought right there.
Mm.
Um, yeah, so that was roughly, that puts me right about 2018-ish. Um, I had no clue how much I really weighed. It wasn't until after losing some weight, I was clearing out my closet and realizing I was wearing the same size clothes as I was pre-gastric bypass, which was like a 62 to 64 size pant and a 7XL shirt. Um, and so like Vinny likes me to tell the story on this podcast is I'd heard about Vinny on the Adam Carolla podcast, Adam Carolla and Dr. Drew podcast. It sounded like keto. I don't know what a macro is, so I knew I would fail like within a day. I'm just not a figuring out kind of person. And so we were sitting on the front porch, and at the time, my 2.5-year-old daughter darted for the street. Uh, I'll start off with saying, luckily, nothing happened to her. She was fine, but she was already at the street before I could even manage to get out of the chair, let alone be able to run after her and keep her safe. And it was a gut punch right there, realizing that my health was so poor that I could not even do the basic function of protecting my kids in that way because I was just so bad, so unhealthy. So I gave I gave the NSNG a try. Uh, I had no scales that could weigh me, so I didn't know if it was working. I would say after a few months, my wife made a collage. I didn't even know collages existed back then, but my wife made a collage of a side by side of me before and current, and there was a significant difference. So, I mean, I had no scale numbers to prove that because I was still too heavy for a scale, but it was the first time I've seen anything actually working. Uh, so from there on, I was all in, man. I knew it was working. I was feeling better. Uh, from gastric bypass, I developed hypoglycemia, which was like an everyday issue. But once literally the second I started NSNG, it's been a non-factor. Uh,
Wow.
so just that feeling of not feeling, I thought it was normal when you eat to want to sleep after every single meal. Uh, and having consistent energy throughout the day was just an amazing feeling.
So great.
So yeah, so it just kind of took off from there.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, I've got some questions then. Going back to the foods that got you to the weight that you got at. I'm pretty sure myself and the listener probably already assumes what those foods are, but in hindsight, ultra processed foods, can we just say, is probably a lot of sugar and a lot of things that came in packages and boxes and bags and cans.
Man, absolutely. It's funny that you even say that because I even had a coworker the other day asking me, what did a normal meal look like for you at your heaviest? And I remember, this is pathetic, but I remember I would go to McDonald's and get a double quarter pounder with cheese, supersize, with a 20-piece nugget, and then another hamburger for the drive home while I was waiting to go eat all that crap. So, I mean, I man, it's embarrassing to even think about it. But at the time when you're in the middle of it, you know you're not doing great. But when you're in the middle of it, it's not that bad. It's just your reality.
Yep. Yeah, totally. So again, on that note, like I've got a client who claims to say she's doing better with her diet, but she does the diet soda or yeah, she does Diet Coke every single day. And she'll tell me that she'll drive to different gas stations so she's not always going to the same place. And I've heard other food addicts say the same thing, that they'll go to maybe the different McDonald's. Did you notice any of that kind of like addictive behavior in hindsight?
Absolutely. And this goes back to the gastric bypass time is that people would say, oh, my wife would say, maybe you're like or my wife now was reflecting back on the past, say maybe you're uh, an emotional eater or something like that. I'm like, that's stupid. There's no such thing as emotional eating. People are just fat. You know, that's all it is. And I remember I had a really stressful day at work one time. And I'm not joking. I was I mean, this is fresh off a gastric bypass. So I could literally not eat anything. And I pulled into the Wiener Schnitzel parking lot into the drive-through and I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? I can't even eat anything. And it was like a non-thought, you know, a subconscious thing that happened. And I was like, oh crap, I think I'm not going to tell her that she was right, but I think my wife was right. She was on to something here, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
it was just, yeah, it's weird. There's a lot linked to the poor eating. I just never associated it with.
Yeah. Well, you hear all the time, like, how did I let myself get to that point? How did I let myself get up to that amount of weight? And I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's very easy when you're in the middle of it. It's easy to have another day like yesterday and another day like yesterday and another day, and they just stack on each other. In this period of time as you're gaining before the surgery, how many times did you consciously think like, okay, I have to do something about this. I need to start a diet. I need to do something. Like, did you, you know,
All the time,
all the time?
all the
Okay.
time. But this is so stupid. I remember very vividly one time thinking, okay, for real, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give this Weight Watchers everything I can. Um, I need to come up with a perfect game plan. I'm going to order a pizza and I'm going to sit down and really make tomorrow happen, which is the stupidest thing. I'm like, and I'm just going to order the pizza, then I'll have food for the rest of the week, for lunches. And I sat down making my perfect weight loss plan and ate a whole entire pizza planning this. I mean, it was like it was a constant lie I had with myself all the time, like tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. There was 1,000 tomorrows, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, it is at the time of recording the very first day in January. So it's a great day for memes on social
Right.
media about diets and stuff like that. And I always see every year the funny food prep one where it's got the pizza in 7 slices in 7 different containers for like one for the week. I know what would happen to me. I would do the same thing. I would eat one piece, and then I'd eat another piece, and I'd be pretty set. And then I'd eat another piece, and I'd be like, okay, I'm really done. And then I'd eat another piece, and then I'd eat another piece. And then I'd come back a few later and a few hours later and eat the rest. Like, I can't stop myself. I really respect people who can moderate. I can't do it. It sounds like that would be the case for you as well.
I can't moderate at all. And I've said before, one of the big things is you have to have a heart to heart with yourself and really identify who you are. Uh, Again, going back to Vinnie with NSNG, he said before that you can't take an alcoholic and just say, oh, here, just one sip of beer, one sip of alcohol, and you'll be okay. You have to treat it the same way. I know what my triggers are, and I can't dabble with them. I can't because what made me I truly feel like after I've gained my weight back from gastric bypass is I I swear I felt like I just wanted to try a piece of cake, like just try it. Like, oh, I haven't had cake in a while. I've been doing so good at this. I could reward myself with this cake. And I swear all I did was taste a piece of cake, and I blinked my eyes and I was back up over 500 pounds. It seemed like, I mean, it truly seemed like it. So now I know this. It's yes, it could be good, but it's not that good. Just
Not
stay
that
away
good.
from it. Just it's
Yeah.
and I also it's weird now. Now I also have excitement and simplicity. I almost I get excited when I make something and I'm like, wow, that is 2 ingredients. That is the coolest thing. I don't know why. I'm getting old and dumb things entertain me.
No, I love that. That's great. I had a meal earlier today that was called eggs, and the ingredient was eggs.
Right. Yes.
Great.
That's my staple. Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome. Okay, well, you made an awesome appearance on the low carb MD podcast with Tro and Brian. Really great. You had a technical difficulty somewhere in the beginning where you cut out for a little while. But it actually was cool because it gave Tro an opportunity to talk about something I really didn't know that much about, different versions of that gastric bypass surgery. He was able to describe the 3 or 4 different ways it was done, like lap bands and the version that you had, which I'm forgetting the name, but do you know much about like what you were getting and what the idea was behind it?
For the most part, I probably know like the Cliff Note version of it. So I believe mine was called, I'm gonna probably pronounce it incorrectly, but like the Ruin Y. I think that's what it is. Where like there's a band, some of them are bands, some of them are this, but like this is one where they completely bypassed part of my stomach and my intestine and stuck it to the side, and now I have a new stomach. Um, so yeah, that was the type I had, which was at the time definitely more of an involved one. As a matter of fact, I was so heavy I had to drive 3 hours away to go see a specialist that's not only did surgeries on overweight people having gastric bypass, but the really overweight people having gastric bypass.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Recovering from that must have been tough.
I recover remarkably well from surgeries, but just the recovery in the sense of learning how I was now was weird because all they really had to do is just check off the boxes. Oh, psych evaluation. Okay, this. I was not truly prepared. It was just you needed to check off these boxes and good luck.
Yeah. So when you're getting the procedure done, is there any education involved? Are they telling you like, hey, this is what's going to happen. You now need to eat this certain way, even if it was like inaccurate information. Did they talk to you about what your nutrition would be like afterwards?
They talked about it in the sense. My doctor was good in the sense that he did say he wanted me to focus on, I'm not going to be able to eat much at all. So what you do eat, you want to focus on more protein-rich foods, which I don't disagree with that at all. Like every other doctor, it seems like that does those surgeries also says, oh, by the way, I have this protein shake that we sell if you are interested in it.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's that. So later down the road, me being the cheap person I am, I just thought, oh, I can make my own protein shakes, save tons of money. They were just desserts in a bottle. That's all it was, with some protein powder. Um, but yeah, so there wasn't a whole lot of education other than the fact, like the basics of, I mean, yeah, use your brain to get as much protein as you can since you're not taking in that much.
Yeah, it's all just so ironic to me. Ed Tro made the same point on low carb MD. It's like we're seeing the same kind of thing happen with bariatric surgeries. We're seeing with these new medications that are getting really, really popular for weight loss. It's like they're designed to make your stomach feel more full. And so I
Right.
think it's awesome that your doctor said anything about protein to begin with, because if you
Right.
want to
Yeah.
make yourself, yeah, if you want to make yourself feel more full, then eat protein. It's satiating. Like you eat eggs and you eat them until you're really full. You're not going to be hungry very often. You could do the exact same thing that some of these things have without side effects.
Yeah, exactly. And it would have saved me, it would have made him zero money if he would have just said, let's not have the surgery, just eat this to begin with. But
Yeah.
it was a different time back then. And I guess, you know, maybe they needed to add an extension to their house and I was paying for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you're on the original trajectory of losing weight. You got the surgery done.
Mhm.
You're feeling good. The feeling good, I'm assuming that part had to come to some kind of an end. Like, even though you're losing weight, I'm guessing at some point you started feeling pretty crappy.
So, yeah, with that, I thought a lot of this I just chalked up to coincidence in the beginning because I just thought, oh man, I must be sickly this year or something like that. There were so many times I would eat breakfast or my shake or whatever it was, and I'd be heading to work and I would feel horrible, barely stay awake. I'd start breaking out in sweats, and I'm like, man, I'm getting the flu or something. What's going on here? And I never miss work for being sick, but it was becoming quite consistent. And it was several months down the road that my primary care physician started telling me that, let's start checking your blood sugar levels, and that's when we determined from the gastric bypass I got hypoglycemia, uh, which was that was the effects of hypoglycemia is what I was feeling when I thought I was being sick all the time. It's just that, and I'm not super educated on hypoglycemia still, but it's from what I know, like we're almost like reverse diabetes, where I just crap out on my sugars and just sometimes and have passed out before from it, just by eating high sugar or high carb foods. Just floors me. It just absolutely floors me. So I still had not gained the weight back at the time. So I was like, gastric bypass is still not bad. I still am happy I got it. Um, Now I just have to kind of be more mindful of how I eat, even though I wasn't. Um, and then I started having other problems. I've had my intestines kink 3 times now, which is so your intestines can kink. You're more likely to have your intestine kink uh, from having gastric bypass. Once it kinks the first time, it increases the chance of it happening again.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, which sounds as pleasant as it sounds, or is as pleasant as it sounds, and it revolves going to the hospital, going into surgery, and fixing it, and here we go again. Uh, so at this point, I'm kind of thinking, maybe gastric sucks, but I'm still not heavy yet. But then the weight starts coming on and won't stop and won't stop. And I stretch my stomach out. I could eat the same amount, same garbage, everything. And now I'm kind of like, well, what the heck? What was this all for? Now I'm back up to the same weight, and I got these now health issues along with it. I could have just been better off if I never had it. It'd have been less of the health issues that came from the gastric bypass.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy about the kinking. I've never heard of that before, and that can't be too fun.
It's weird. Yeah. Once it happens, you'll know exactly what's happened in the second and third time, because there's no question. It's a very unique sensation. And yeah, like I think the third time I literally called up the ER and said, "Hey, I'm heading down. This is what's going on." "All right, we'll have to check you out." "No, trust me, it is 100% what's going on." "Oh, we'll test you out." And sure, I go in there like, "Oh, hey, your intestines kink." "Yeah, I could have saved you time and money."
I have to tell you, I don't like it when my hose kinks in my front yard and there's water passing through there. So I'm just gonna say it sounds slightly less pleasant to have that happen. That's crazy. Okay, so magic wand. Let me time travel back to the time that you wanted your second one. I got this procedure done. I lost all this weight. Amazing. Now I gained all this weight back. That sucks. What if I said, okay, sure, Scott, you get the second one now. What do you think would have gone differently? Like, what was your mindset as you were asked? Do you think you would have eaten differently? Did you think it was a willpower problem? Like, what if you would have gotten the second one?
Going into it, I kept telling my wife and myself, "Oh, I know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. The second one, I will be successful because I know what I did wrong." The reality of it is I'd be trying to get the third gastric bypass now. If I had the second one, it's just, I still was not. I kind of knew. I was going to try to moderate myself better, not eat nutrient dense food or the proper food, just modulate or moderate myself, which that's never worked ever in my entire life. So yeah, I guarantee it would have been another waste of surgery, pleading with insurance to get a third one, thinking that would be the solution, and I'd be constant, never ending circle.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So we'll get into the time that you heard this podcast with Vinnie Tortorich. Amazing dude. Really love him and his work. NSNG, no sugar, no grain. The thing I love the most about it is its simplicity. It doesn't say what to eat. It says, don't eat these two things. It doesn't say seed oils. It doesn't say polyunsaturated fats. It doesn't say, moderate your carbohydrates. It just says, don't eat sugar and don't eat grain. Whatever is left, knock yourself out with. What was it? Is that what kind of caught your attention? It sounded like you were never going to track anything. And so was that the best message for you to hear?
Absolutely. I do so much better with just tell me what I cannot do and what I can do. I always joke around saying I'm married. I take instructions very well. I don't mean it to be a joke. I do better that way. Just give me a list. And it was literally that. It's just a list. Oh, here's the 60 plus names for sugar. Okay, now I can identify that. Here's what I should not eat. Okay. It still sounded too good to be true, honestly. They're like, there's zero chance this will work because, well, I can eat eggs, I can eat meat, I can eat bacon, I can eat chicken, I can eat fish. I like that stuff. This is not going to work. Where's the deprivation? And I saw no deprivation in that. And I just knew it could not work. It's impossible. Well, it's really not that impossible when you eat real food. I started it, and everyone talked about the keto flu type thing, and I didn't really experience it too bad. I just wanted to go all in, and I did see that, easing your way into it just prolonged everything from what I saw. So I just jumped in, and I want to say at about 2 to 3 weeks in is when it really started clicking. Like, oh, okay, I get it. The biggest thing was wrapping my head around it because, at the time I was 41 years old when I first started NSNG. And it was erasing a lifetime of incorrect information. So that was the hard part. Once I fully accepted it and it was my new normal, is when I was really on board. And I realized a lot of people ask me questions on the Facebook group page and everything, because they're struggling in the very beginning, and it's because they're still trying to get their brain to wrap around it. And I keep telling them, trust me, it's going to click. You're going to get it. And this is the most simple way of eating around. I mean, It is. That's what I love about it, is just the simplicity. Yes, I got that list. I know what not to eat, but now it literally can't be more simple. I get irritated. I just didn't know about it well before. It was. I always tell Vinny, it's like being where I was before. It's like you felt like you needed a secret password to get into this club, and you just didn't know what it was. And all of a sudden, someone gave you that secret password, and you're like, "Oh, that's all I needed to do. That's now it makes sense. Now I'm in here."
This has
And
been here the whole time. You guys didn't
right,
tell me the
yeah, yeah.
code. Come
Nobody
on,
told me about this.
losers.
Exactly.
Wow.
Right.
Okay, so it occurs to me, I think if I were to go up to most people and say, don't eat sugar and don't eat grain, I don't know that most people would be terribly surprised by that. I think at this point, like most people, I'm sure maybe you knew the sugar, probably not great. Eating lots of bread from grains,
Right.
probably not the best things. I think the real like mind flip is like when you then sit down and say like, okay, well those are out. So now what do I have? And you just lost like 80% of the grocery store. And now you're hearing like eggs are good, like red meat's good. Like
Right.
I'm going to die if I have burger patties every day. I'm gonna die if I have eggs and bacon for breakfast. Like, is that the harder thing to like come around on?
That was very hard to come around on. Not to mention just on myself adjusting to that, but everybody that knows what you're doing in your circle says the same thing. Like, oh, this is I'm worried about you. I'm worried about you. I know you're losing weight. It seems to be working for you, but this is impossible. Your cholesterol is going to go up. Your blood pressure is going to go up. It's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. And I laugh. I mean, I appreciate the concern, but those people are also stuck in a old way of thinking. And every single person that had voiced that concern to me, I'm now significantly healthier and smaller than too. So, um, and now a lot of them are saying like, oh, well, tell me about it. What is it that you? So there's that part of it. But yeah, it is. I mean, I'm 46 years old, so I grew up seeing commercials all through the 1980s saying, "Don't eat eggs. Don't consume more than 3 eggs a day because it'll give you high cholesterol." Or no, sorry, 3 eggs a week because it'll give you high cholesterol. And I'm like, man, I eat a chicken coop a day almost. I mean, come on.
I just ate eight. I'm in big trouble. I just threw out
Right.
eight of them. Yikes,
Yeah.
not good. And I'm guessing that after the surgery, when you had lost all the weight and started gaining it back, and were maybe like halfway back up to where you had started with out with at the first place, I'm guessing those people weren't also there saying, "Hey, man, I'm really concerned about you. You're gaining all this weight." They probably did not care whatsoever until you did something that actually did fix your health.
Nope. They were on the same page as me. Like, oh, but like the people that would voice anything, like I'm worried about you. Oh, don't worry. I'm trying to have gastric bypass again. Oh, okay, good, 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 good. Okay, at least you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, because
Oh,
it did so fantastic the first time.
so frustrating. So
Yeah.
so yeah, you've got so far to go, but the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Like you can't you can't lose all that weight so soon, and that becomes so discouraging when you think like, oh my goodness, I've got so far to go. How were you able to get your mentality right to the point that you could say like, yeah, I've got a ways to go, but I'm just going to get started. Was that difficult for you?
It was. I procrastinated just getting started for a very long time. Uh, but when that situation happened with my daughter, um, man, it just killed me. It really did. I knew I had to. I knew I could not just give up at that moment. I had to give it one last fight. Um, the fact I didn't know. I have three girls, and I knew I knew what the outcome was going to be if I kept that trajectory. I just prayed that it would be quick, and my kids would not have to see me or deal with. I wouldn't have to be a burden on my kids going into a slow death. I just hoped that it would be a stroke that took me out and I was done, and they can get on with their life. And I mean, it's morbid and it's heavy,
Heavy.
man, but it's the truth. That's kind of the when you're that size, that's your reality. And I just didn't want them to see. I didn't want to bring them down with me as long as. I didn't want to bring them down with me. I just wanted to be over with quickly. But I just couldn't get over that thing. I could not give up that easy. I felt like the gastric bypass, the second gastric bypass would have been the only solution, but I don't believe in coincidences. I believe things happen for a reason, and I believe I kept hearing that podcast. I kept hearing Vinnie on that podcast for a reason, and it seemed like every excuse was going away. Like, oh, that sounds like keto. Yeah, keto sounds good, but I don't know what macros are. Oh, I don't have to do macros. Oh, it's just a list. Like, oh crap, I'm running out of excuses here. So I guess I have to just do it. And that's kind of where I was at. I just had to give it one more shot.
Wow. Well, I think I know where I'm going with this question. And the question is, how soon after you started the diet did weight loss become almost like secondary? You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're losing weight and it's awesome. And this is the reason why you started it. But I think we all know once you start down this path, there's other things that happen that are absolutely magical and unexpected. And it's like before long, you don't forget that you're trying to lose weight, but it's not primary anymore. You notice other benefits. How long did that take you to get to that stage, and what things did you notice?
Now, this way of eating will really reveal how messed up you were before. With while you're in the middle of it, you don't realize it. And I've said it before. When it's your reality, you just don't know. It's just what it is. So yeah, the weight loss started happening, but I mean, just so many weird, well, society would call it weird things. We just know it just being the way of eating. But like, okay, this is kind of gross, but I've always had cracks on my feet, like gigantic cracks in my heels and everything like that. Painful, painful, painful. They started going away. That makes no sense. I mean, that's the stupidest thing. Like, that makes no sense. Why would just eating better, is what I was thinking. Why would eating better make my skin better? I mean, so there was that. And then, I mean, might be too much TMI, but I don't care. I'm an open book. When I started, I was early 40s. And that's kind of the age where your libido starts going away. And I thought that, well, that's the age. It's where I'm at in life. And I started eating properly, and all of a sudden it started going back up. And that's probably one thing my wife misses about the old me. She probably would have been fine with the old libido, because I'm just terrorizing her. But just things like that, like your skin, your libido, just the health of I mean, going off of blood pressure medication. Just I like Before, I would have like my yearly physical and be like, oh Lord, this is going to be horrible. I'm going to just learn about how unhealthy I am and I need to change everything. And now I'm just like, bring it on. I've paid out of pocket to have, you know, uh, physicals, because when I first started, people were so worried about this unhealthy way of eating eggs, eating bacon, eating meat. They were so worried that I'm just like, fine, I'll pay for it just to shut you guys up. And just seeing blood panels come back perfect. And then the doctors say like, oh, how'd you do it? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I eat this. Oh, no, no, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Why not? Well, is there anything on my blood work that would tell you for me to change my way of eating? Oh, no, no, not at all. Okay, then I'm going to just stick with what I'm doing. So just all the health aspects, just your body, your body working better. Anti-inflammatory, like having your joints not constantly aching is an amazing thing that you just, again, oh, that doesn't have anything to do with eating. Yeah, no, it really does. Getting all that seed oil garbage out, and it's there is nothing, there's not a negative to it. There's just, you constantly see added benefits to it beyond the weight loss, like you said. I mean, it's just like, oh, this is okay. Here's a stupid one. Your fingernails grow better. I mean, that I've always told my wife that. It's just dumb how when your body's properly fueled the way it's meant to, everything works better. It's just the coolest thing.
a great way to say it. Yeah. I had a guest on last year and he was talking about his transition over to carnivore, and he was talking about athlete's foot and how he always used to get the athlete's foot and that just went away. And I didn't do anything on air, but I was like, holy smokes. Like, yeah, I used to get athlete's foot all the time. I had it constantly, all kinds of different creams. I think he said he was urinating on his feet in the shower, trying to get rid of it. And I'm like,
right.
oh
Yes.
yeah. Like I don't have that anymore. I forgot.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, that is another thing. I haven't bought a spray since before NSNG.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And again, I've heard so many of these, and I know you have as well, that like you are now at the point where I expected that answer from you to include some weird things that maybe people wouldn't associate, that I hear all the time and see all the time. And I think you're right. It is just the proper fuel. And once you get the proper fuel in, the body can just work really, really well on its own, which is great.
Amazing.
And I also love, part of your story has to do with exercise, but you didn't start with exercise. You're talking to an audience in January of 2024. People are going to be gung ho, man. You see all the memes of the gym, and it's like the meme of December 31st, and the place is empty. And January 1st, it's like the WWE floor with everybody fighting everybody else and everything.
Yes.
With your own personal story, and especially in relation to talking to people who might be starting their own journey at the beginning of the year, when did exercise become a priority to you, of something you wanted to do or even felt like you wanted to?
It took me a few months of eating this way, dropping a little bit. Keep in mind, I've mentioned this in the past. If I had to go to the grocery store, for example, on the way home to grab a couple things for home or for the wife or whatever, if the list was too long, or if I could not get a spot close enough to the building, I couldn't do it, because I could not get out of my car, walk far enough to the store, do what I had to do in the store, and get back to my vehicle without just being physically unable.
Wow.
I was, let me see if you can see that. I was that close to riding on the carts, I felt like. I mean, it was just that bad. So at that point, exercise was just living was exercise. I mean, just existing was exercise. So it took a few months. And then at that time, I started hearing, or no, actually, I started hearing on a podcast, but also my brother started doing DDP Yoga, or DDPY, Diamond Dallas Page, which is my old wheelhouse when I was a kid, wrestlers and everything like that. And he also made a program to where literally you could start it in bed. So I'm like, okay, well, if you could do this while you're in bed, I can at least do something. And this way of eating being so anti-inflammatory, and then also now getting your body working better, like with stretches and what they call dynamic movements, where just self, just supporting yourself with your own body weight, or using your own body weight and everything. My body started working so much better. I mean, I was more flexible. I could carry my body weight better. And then as I started doing more and more and more of that, I started thinking about, like, okay, I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could do this. I wonder if I could do this. And I tell you what, when you're feeling good, you desire to just keep pushing it and seeing what the next thing is. You want to, you become very goal focused, goal oriented, or just challenges. Not even goals. You just want challenges for yourself, because I had lived a life, such a sedentary life, so for 95% of my life, that I had a lot of making up to do, and I wanted to get out there and just do things. So yeah.
It's awesome. I remember the first time somebody told me about DDP yoga, and I was like, the hell is that? I only know of one DDP, and it certainly isn't related to yoga. And they're like, sure enough, it's awesome. Is it a program that you had to pay for, or was this all just like free content?
This so he has a few things on YouTube, like older free videos, but this is something I did have to pay for. I was one of the earlier guys where I bought like a DVD box set, whatever. And keep in mind, I'm also the kind of person, back then I was the kind of person where, like, you brought up yoga to me, that's kind of fighting words. I mean, that's stupid. Yoga's dumb. But no, I'm so sold out on it. It's so awesome, man.
That's great.
And especially coming from my brother, that's the only way I even I think the only person that has more hostility towards yoga in the beginning was my brother. And the fact that he was giving me a thumbs up on it, I'm like, okay, it's past his approval.
It's
I got to
okay.
check this out. Uh,
That's great.
yeah. So yeah, it, yeah, yoga and coming from the source that it came from was the most ridiculous thing. I mean, a crazy WWE, WWF wrestler guy talking about yoga. Just I'm like, all right, well, you kind of check off all the boxes. You're a wrestler, and okay, I'll try it. But yeah, I was early guy at the DVD box set, and then he now has an app that you could do on a monthly subscription.
That's cool. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even then, I did just to say, like, there's so many resources out there. Even the investment that you made was probably relatively small when you compare it to the benefits that you were getting. And I love the tip. I think the listener will really appreciate that, to make sure that when you're changing your diet, don't worry about the exercise so much in the beginning. That will come. Wait until you really want to do it. Wait until you want to challenge yourself. Like you mentioned, I think that's a really cool tip. You also got into triathlons. That's pretty awesome. I do have to say, as a cyclist, the swim and the run are completely unnecessary. If you want to mess up a really, really, really good sport, add two terrible things on either side of it, you'll totally ruin the sport.
Yeah, I one of my favorite shirts is a shirt that says triathlon. Why suck at one sport when you can suck at three? And I was like, perfect. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, I picked the worst sport to get into. It's the least flattering with clothing. There's just, yeah, it just became a challenge of like, I've always kind of thought it was neat, and I've always loved bikes. I love anything two wheels. I'm a motorcycle guy. I'm a bicyclist. So I just kind of, for some reason, gravitated toward it. And I did my first uh, small one locally, and I felt so out of place. Come on, a triathlete, no. And it was the coolest, most amazing community of people I've ever seen. Just the more it seemed like, the more it looked like you should not be there, the more encouragement that you got from everybody, and it became something I really got into. Yeah, so yeah, I've set goals of just kind of building up on that.
Yep. And I'm going to give you one more platform to announce your 2025 goal, so you can't bail out of it. Makes you even more committed to it. What's going on
Right.
in 2025?
Yeah, so I'm not going to jump right into it, but I'm going to build up to, my goal is to do the Texas full Ironman in 2025, April of 2025. And now that we're in 24, it seems a lot more real. When you're still in 23, it's yeah. Now that it's right around the corner, it's a lot more real. Uh, yeah, I mean, the first time I did a triathlon, I've always thought that the full Ironman was so cool. I mean, it's just like, to me, the epitome of like, dude, that's for real. That is just nuts. So the full Ironman, 2.4 swim, 112-mile bike, and a full marathon, 26.2 run. Um, and I just think it's the neatest thing. Not just that, but I also feel like we said in the beginning, we kind of do this to get the message out about this way of eating and just to encourage others. And I think I come from a different platform of I'm not a guy that lost 10, 15, 20 pounds on this. I'm a guy that was on the brink of death, 550 pounds, have lost 300 pounds. So I know what hopelessness feels like more than most people. Um, and I just want to do this and complete this. I'm not going to get any crazy rankings. I want to complete it is all I want to do, because I want for someone that was in the same boat as me to say like, dude, this guy did it. Why can't I just lose some weight? If this dummy did an Ironman, why can't I just lose 50 pounds? It's it's not that hard. I'm just trying to get it out there, man, and just to inspire people, just to change their life. You might be in a rut. You might feel like you're stuck, but your story's not over with. You can rewrite it at any second. It's just you need to get up off your tail and put it to action, man. And that's just what I want to do. Is I really just want to get that out there. I'm nobody special at all. I have very little willpower, if at all. I just got the proper information, and that's all our community wants to do is relay it to you. It's just, here's the key. Here's the key. You could do it. It's not that difficult. So
Yeah, I love that. That is
yeah,
absolutely beautiful. So cool. Congratulations on that goal. One of my favorite stories is of Dave McGillivray, excuse me, who was the organizer of the Boston Marathon. He's got a great story of the first time that he ran it and a promise he made to his grandpa that he was going to finish this race, and he wasn't able to finish it. And his grandpa taught him the lesson that basically said, like, you didn't earn the right to complete this marathon. You need to earn the right to do things in life. And so he trained very heavily that year. And the next year, after his grandfather had passed away, he was just about to give up when he realized that he was sitting by the cemetery right where his grandpa was buried. And he remembered the promise that he made, that he prepared for this. And so he got up and finished the race. It's an amazing story. I get chills thinking about it every time. And
yeah,
I
that's
think
awesome.
that's the same thing. Like to say you're going to do an Ironman in 2025, that's great. That's awesome. But people are only going to think about that one day in 2025. They're not going to think about you in February of 2024 on a Tuesday morning at 5:30 in the morning when you've got a set swim that you have to do, and a Thursday in the afternoon when you would really love to go home and relax, but you've got a tempo run to go do. Like, they don't see all the work that goes into that, and you really do have to earn the right to even consider something like that. So I think that is absolutely wonderful and such great advice for the people out there. Let's wrap this up with some tips. Again, we're in this great time of the year where lots of people are getting motivated. As you're looking back on your story, where you were, the things that helped you, what advice do you give people who want to get started with this? What are things that run into, problems they have? What are some of the best tips and tricks that you would give them?
Yeah, so I got a couple. With this way of eating, if you're just getting started on it and you're getting overwhelmed, trust me, you're overcomplicating it. It is not difficult. I'm guilty of that. It is truly as easy as it comes off as. Stop trying to look into it and making it more difficult than it is. That's step one. And step two is, again, everyone's journey is different. Um, you got to set small goals. If I if I started on day one and said, here's my end goal, this is where I want to be, I would have never finished. I would have never started. It was just too overwhelming. Man, my first goal was just to see a number on the scale, just not have it not say error on it. And then it read a weight. And then my next goal is I want to see a 3 in front of that. And then just set small goals, little small achievable goals. You will be surprised before you know it, they add up. I mean, everyone's goals are going to look different. But when I just wanted to not see an error on the scale, and that was my first goal, I did not think that there would be a point in my future that I have a goal of a freaking Ironman. That would have been the dumbest thing you could have ever thrown at me. They add up. Set small goals. Don't look at the big picture. You're going to get overwhelmed. Just small goals. Be in the moment.
Yeah, that's fantastic. When I was first getting started in this, I told people that I was kind of like a foodie, and I've been in the fitness and nutrition space for a while. And so we have been cooking recipes and, buying lots of ingredients. I used to tell people I love shopping, 5-6 times a week. I love making new things and trying new recipes. Turns out I don't love any of that. I don't even like it. I just like to have my food, have delicious, simple options, and have that done. So again, for people when they're getting started, you're mentioning keep things simple. Give us an example of some of the meals that you have that do have like 1 or maybe 2 ingredients.
So I am with you. At the beginning, I was like, oh man, I'm kind of a good cook, but I made it complicated. I made approved dishes, but you're not going to do that all the time. Man, dude, the greatest, my go-to, simple go-to, don't sleep on a hamburger patty with a couple fried eggs on top of it, man. The egg in general is just one of the greatest, most perfect foods around. You throw a little bit of a hamburger patty, couple fried eggs. You want to get crazy, salt and pepper. I mean, if you want to stretch, maybe that's 4 ingredients, including the salt and pepper. It's simple. It's good. You're going to be full. I never thought that you could lose weight eating fried eggs and a burger. I mean, that's ridiculous. But yeah, it just as simple as that. And we've got one of those flat top griddles out in the outside and everything. Make a ton of them. Make a ton of patties in there. Put them in a Ziploc. Have proper foods ready to go at all times to prevent you from just snacking on something wrong. That's very helpful as well. And an egg, how long does it take to fry up an egg? Come on.
Not long, and they're so worth it. Just like you, like I'll have them as my first meal of the day, and already by dinner they're like starting to sound good again with some sliced up tri-tip or some burger patties, like you mentioned. So good, and easy and fast and very inexpensive. And you know, people want to pay attention to things like quality and grass-fed and organic. Like you can, but it's not required. You don't need any of that. Right. Do this on conventional eggs. And another thing that I feel like people get really hung up on is they maybe bought into the different foods, but they still have strong reservations to like truly eating to satiety. We're so programmed to think like, I could eat another burger patty, but I've already had 2. Isn't that like way too much? I already had like 3 eggs. Like it's kind of a lot. Like I'm a little bit worried. Like how do you help people kind of deal with that initially when they think like, I don't know, I think I'm eating too much?
Like I said in the beginning, be honest with yourself. There's a difference between satiated and stuffed. You don't need to stuff yourself. You don't need to be uncomfortable. Just we go back to simple. Just think about it. Am I hungry? No? Okay. We're good. We're good. Am I hungry? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's maybe eat one more egg or something like that. It's, again, simplicity at its finest. It's just as simple as that. Don't gorge yourself. Don't get stuffed. Don't make yourself uncomfortable. Just, am I hungry or not? That's all you got to think about.
Yeah, perfect. I love that. Well, tell us about your new project, the Success Stories project, the Less of Me Success Stories project that you have on YouTube. You guys are just getting started. What is your goal with that?
So yeah, we're doing it every other Thursday, 7 p.m. Central Time, and it is, as of right now, it's a YouTube channel where people could watch it and also go on and you're talking to the least tech savvy person in the world. So I know that there's a chat you can go on and ask questions for the guests that we have on. So we're having a new guest every week that has had success. Less of Me Success Stories has had success of this way of eating, whether it be NSNG, whether it be carnivore or some sort of keto, something like that. And then just share their story, what they did, helpful hints like we're doing right here. But yeah, and you can ask them in real time, what they have done. And we're trying to get an audience base. We're literally on our second show. So what do the kids call it? Smash it or something like that. Like it, subscribe it, whatever you do on YouTube. But yeah, as of right now, it is just every other Thursday and just a YouTube channel. But if the need comes, we will go further from there.
Cool. That's awesome. I love the format, frankly. I've never done that live format where you're getting questions asked you as you're going. And I wondered if that would come across as like a little bit distracting or if it would like take you off topic. And the people that were writing in questions were writing in really, really good questions.
I agree.
Especially the episode that you were hosted by Robyn. People were asking great questions. It made a podcast host really jealous. Like, I wish we would have thought of that.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty clever. Robyn and her husband definitely came up with that thought. And they kind of morphed. So we used to have a clubhouse a while back. So nobody seemed to be really big fans of that app. But so we kind of morphed it into a clubhouse / show type thing, trying to get the best of both worlds. And we'll see how that works.
I think it's great. I hope you continue doing it. It's just one of those things that you have to be consistent with it. You just start with something and you put it out there and you keep going. And I think you're the perfect person to be able to do that because you did exactly that with your weight loss journey. You were not focused on the outcome. You were focused on what you could do that day. And you just let it lead you to now having a goal of doing a full Ironman. That is just so awesome. You've already done this, but for just one more time, anybody who's out there who thinks it's too far gone for them, they weigh too much, they've tried this before, it didn't work, they feel like a failure, one more time, what would you say to that person?
Man, it's not as hard as you think. Set small goals. Don't look at the end of the trail. Don't look at the long scheme of things. One goal at a time. Little goals, they add up. You will be surprised.
It's awesome. Scott King, this has been an awesome conversation. I've certainly learned a lot, and I feel very inspired. And I know our listener will feel that way as well. Where can people go to find you and connect with you and your work?
I'm on pretty much all social medias, primarily Twitter, we'll just call it Twitter still. Twitter and Instagram at less of me with NSNG.
Awesome. We will link to that in the show notes. I'm the same way. I'm calling it Twitter until the end. Like I'm not getting up for this X thing. That's great. So again, we'll link that in the show notes. Best of luck with all the training that you're going to need to do. I've taken many people through Ironman triathlon training, and it's no easy task. So good luck with all of that. I think you'll have an amazing day, an amazing race, and have an amazing journey to get there, which is where the real like gold is, I think, in something like that. But yeah, again, thank you for everything that you've done, for having the courage to want to talk about it and share it all around, including with us today. We're just really so grateful for you and for your time to come on our show. So thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. And this has been another episode of Boundless Body Radio.